Hello everyone, welcome to the new lesson. And in this lesson, you are going to deal with the techniques of pivot table by the help of Python and ChatGPT to answer your questions in exploratory data analysis. So at first, let's explore what our question is. So the question asked, who are the most loyal customers of your superstore? So, in which way you can define the most loyal customers in your superstore? So, one option is you can check the repeat purchase amount for a particular customers that you have already calculated in the frequency analysis section. Okay, then you can check for the customers who have spent a lot and which you can and contributed a lot to your profitability, and this thing can be measured by the variable order underscore value underscore euro, and you have already calculated this in the previous lesson. And one more measure is remained, which is the cost. You can also consider the amount you have to sacrifice to retain a particular customer, and by the aggregation and consideration of these three measures, that are that repeat buying purchase and the profitability and the cost, you can finally can find out the most loyal or profitable customers in your superstore. So you have done all the calculation, right? But and now, through the help of pivot table, we are going to aggregate all this information in a particular table and a graph to provide you a significant sense of exploratory data analysis. Let's see how we can do so with the help of ChatGPT. So go to ChatGPT and ask, give me a Python code to make a pivot table by one product categories. For example, we are dealing with customers, right? But I am asking ChatGPT to provide any code based on product categories, which we'll revise while dealing with the code in our Jupyter Notebook environment. However, I have also said that based on median sales cost and the number of counts of each category. So I am actually telling ChatGPT to provide me the code for pivot table. I have specified that I want the pivot table based on the product categories. In simple words, I define the categories list, and I have also defined the numeric values that I want in this particular pivot table and its forms, which is median sales and median cost. And I have also specified that I want the counts of each category and attach this particular result within my pivot table. So now run the command. So here you can see the code. So at first ChatGPT created a sample data. Moving to the first line of or block of code, here you can see it creates a variable called pivot underscore table, and it is started with specifying the data frame name or data frame variable name with which the dot pivot table Python method is used to calculate or create the pivot table. And within the function, we can see it specifies three things: index, values, and aggfunc. In other words, aggregate function. However, in the index, you can see it defines the product category because we want the list of categories. And in the next one, you can see the values. Here, the values are the list of numeric variables. You can see that sales and cost are defined. And in our case, the sales represent the order value euro variable and cost is cost. And the egg funk, where you can see it started with a second bracket and finished with a second bracket as well. And in the egg funk or aggregate function, you actually specifies the calculation method for each variable, that for the result you want to see within your pivot table by each product category. You can see for the sales, it defines the median. for the cost, it also defines the median, and for the category, it defines the count or frequencies. In the second block of code, you can see here, it also defines the pivot table, and actually it renames some columns name to provide a meaningful name for the columns that in a pivot table. For example, it used the dot rename Python method on the pivot table, and within the function, it specifies its columns, and you can see the specification is made between the second bracket, and you can see that the sales is a variable, and it assigns the name for the variable sales as median underscore sales, and the assignment of new name of a particular column is made by this particular colon sign. And similarly, you can see for the variable, it assigns the name median underscore cost, and for this variable of product category, it assigns the name count. However, that's all. Now if you can copy the codes, go to Jupyter Notebook, paste it here. Now you have to make some revisions. So at first, you have to change the product category to the customer underscore name, because we are finding out the repeat purchase or order value or cost for our customers, not our product category. Then you have to assign the correct variable name, no, instead of sale, which is our order value euro, and we have to correct the spelling of cost. Now you have to define the aggregate function. So for order value euro, instead of sales, we are assigning the median function. For the cost, we are assigning median, and for the customer name list, we are assigning count, not product category. In the next code, you have to assign the new name for our variable names. So for order value euro, we are assigning a median underscore sales. For cost, we are assigning median underscore cost. And for customer name, we are assigning count. So now everything is okay. We have to remove the print function because we do not need it to show our result. Run the code. So here you can see the list of customer names, the median cost, their count, and the median sales. But from this table that contains approximately 75 rows, it is very tough to make decisions about your most loyal or profitable customers, right? So in that sense, you can visualize your result. To visualize your result, you can go to ChatGPT and get the best code. So here you can say, right, give me a Python code to visualize the results in pivot underscore table in the above task. That means I am asking ChatGPT to give me a code to visualize the result in our pivot table that it just made for you. However, I have also added plot count in a line and rest in a bars. That means I am asking to give me the visualization in which the values in a count will be plotted in a line chart, and the rest such as the median values of order value and cost will be plotted in a bars chart. However, run the command. So you can see that it imported pandas, matplotlib, and seaborn. You have imported all these in your Jupyter notebook. So you do not need to import it again. It created the example data. It created the pivot table. However, we have done all of these things. We just need these particular lines of groups. So here you can see it created a figure size with some axis, and you can see it used the dot subplots to create the subplots within a particular figure, and it defines the figure size 12 for width and 6 for height. However, in the next block of code, here you can see it uses the dot line plot Python visualization method, which derived from the Seaborn library, as you can see, the SNS is used, within which it defines its source data, which is pivot underscore table, and the variable count. That means the source data is the count list of values which we got in our pivot underscore table. In simple word, this particular variable. However, next you can see that it defines the markers in your line chart like this one. It defines the axis within your figure, which is axis 1. And it defines the color, it defines the level, etc. However, in the next line of course, you can see as this particular plot will be visualized in the axis 1 figure. So for the axis 1, at first it sets the X level, product category, we will revise it to our customer names. Then it defines the Y level, and the Y level is count, and the color is this one, tab blue. And for the tick params, it defines the axis Y and the colors tab blue. In the next block of code, you can see it created a second y-axis for the bar plots. That means in a figure, it will show you two y-axis. For one y-axis, which will be plotted in axis 1, we'll see the counts, and for another or twin y-axis, we'll see the median values. Here you can see the another axis, which is axis 2, and the another axis is a twin or copy of axis 1. For this, the twin x Python method is used. In the next block of code, here you can see at first the data of median sales and median cost from the pivot table is filtered out in a two-dimensional array, because you can see that two third brackets are used, and on this data you can see the dot plot is used, and the kind of the plot will be bar, the axis will be axis 2, the width of the bar will be 0.3, and the colors will be tab orange and tab green. However, you can see the alpha. Alpha is used to defines the intensity of your color, which is the maximum intensity is 1, and you can see that it is set to 0.7. For the axis 2 y level, the y level is set to values and color is black. You can see the tick params is also y and color is black. And for the last block of code, you can see the plot customization, where it provides the plot title and it added the legend for axis 2, and you can see the lock where it defines the upper left, which is the actual position in which within the figure you want to see your legend. And you can see the levels of your legends, which are median sales and median cost. And finally, the dot show method is used to show your graph. However, copy the code, go to Jupyter Notebook, paste it to a new cell. Okay, so we will delete these extra things. So the first block is okay, no problem with it. For the second block, you can see the variable name is count, and here the variable name is count, so no problem. The marker and other attributes are also okay. And we have to change the name, because here the label will be customers names. Okay, the Y level will be count, and the colors are okay, everything is okay. For the third block, you can see the column names are median sales and median cost, as you can see in our pivot table as well. And everything is okay. But in the last block, you can see for median sales cost and count by product category, not product category, is a customers. So we want to see the median sales cost and count by customers. we can make it product purchase by customers, not count. And then you can see the legend. Okay, legends are fine. Now just run them. So here you can see the graph, and you can see the graph in a very cluttered way because there are approximately 75 customers, and you can see the names are very cluttered of these customers that presented in a graph. To define the loyal customers, we do not need the list of all the customers because if we at first select a threshold measurement to find out the most loyal customers, which is the repeat buying process, because the person who comes to you and purchase products so frequently, definitely your loyal customers, and a person who comes to you at a time, once at a time, and purchase a big amount will not be considered at that much loyal to your store. So the main threshold can be defined as your product purchase frequency, right? So let's at first sort our data by the highest product frequency purchase, and then we can select the top 5 or top 10 customers, and among which we can make the comparisons to find out the optimal number of loyal customers considering both median cost and median sales. To do so, we have to sort our pivot tables by the function sort underscore values, and you know how to do it in our sorting lesson. So we are going to sort by count, and we are going to sort by in a descending format. So we'll write ascending is equal to false. Load this particular result to sorted underscore pivot underscore table. So let's copy the variable name and paste under of the code and run the. So here you can see the sorted result of our pivot table, and you can see the customers with highest number of frequencies with their median sales and their median cost. Now we can choose the top 10 customers to compare with each other, right? So to choose the top 10 customers, we just need to filter out by adding a third bracket, and you have to select the range of your selection within the third bracket, which is 0 to 10, right? So we'll load this information to top underscore 10. Now, if I copy the variable and paste it here, you can see the top 10 customer list as per the purchase frequency of product purchase, their median cost and median sales. Now let's visualize this particular result in our plot to get the most loyal customers. We just need to change the source data. So wherever you can see the pivot underscore table, you have to ensure the top 10, because we are now collecting the data from the top 10, right? So everything will be fine. Just we need to revise the pivot underscore table with the top 10. And here you can see the pivot underscore table. So make it top 10. So everything is okay. Now run them. So here you can see the result of our graph. We can enhance the figure size to suppose 30 to 10. And here you can see our visualization. If we zoom in, you can see that Johns and Sons is our customers, approximately approximately highest order value, and the purchase frequency is also very higher. The order value and the cost are relatively higher for the top 4 customers, but comparatively the purchase frequency except the first two is very lower. And even you can see the last, the Larkin Puller, who is also the customer of the superstore. And from the line graph, you can see the purchase frequency is very, very low, but the order value is very high. So if we consider the all scenario, you can see that the higher the order value or the median sales, the higher the cost. So there is a positive association, or there may be a positive association between them, but the differentiation is actually happen based on the product purchase frequency. Because if you multiply the purchase frequency with their amount of the Johns and Sons and Hassel and Statement, the first two person or the first two customers, you will see the total sales amount will be very high compared to the person Larkin Kohler, because the if we multiply the frequency of his product purchase with its value. So in that sense, we can take our first two persons like Johnson and Sons and Hassel and Statement as our most loyal customers. We can provide various rewards and various important recognition to them to keep them motivated and make a very good relationship with our customers. So this is how we can use the help of pivot table and all other techniques we have learned so far to make some very, very useful, significant information, insights for your data. So that's all for pivot table. Thank you.